The beginning of my application process for the internship, I wasn't really sure where to start. And the best place I found was to go to the BSL careers office and talk about how the process should look and where I should really focus my efforts at the beginning. Together we sat for a few sessions and worked on my CV, really understanding what is key for me to share with my potential employers, putting that on paper, making it look good, making it easy to go through, highlighting the parts that are important, and so on and so forth. And once we were happy with the CV, I started applying. I applied to a lot of places. I kind of looked at all the different opportunities I had, and I divided them into top priority, mid priority, and low priority. The ones that were low priority, I just sent my CV as it was. It was a very quick thing, but still good to try. Mid priority, I put a bit more effort into, and then the ones that are really top priority, I would sit down and look at my CV and really think about what is this position, try to understand a bit more about the company, and what I can do to really stand out to them in particular. I found that even though we're in Switzerland, it's just as important as anywhere else to activate your network and really try to use your connections to not straight away get hired, but at least sit at that negotiations table and be able to speak to people and present yourself. And that it's important not to get discouraged when you don't get responses. I personally applied to many places, tens, maybe 100 places, and the vast majority of them didn't give me any response. But the ones that do are already indicating that they're quite interested. So it's a good place to start, and it's worth developing those connections. Even if you don't end up getting hired, it's still good to keep a connection because you never know when it's going to be handy in the future. Some of the very important things that I learned about the application process for an internship are that if you really want a job, a certain position, you're not going to get away with just sending them your CV the way it looks for every other position and expecting it to work. You can't expect your potential employer to look through every word and find exactly what they need. You need to show them. So you need to sit down with your CV and really make it look the way you would want it to look if you were on the other side. The other thing is you can really learn about a company. You can learn a lot without having to speak to anyone in there. If you take your time on their website, look for some keywords, and understand the way that they approach their work and what they are looking for in someone like you. And if you get selected for an interview, you can use this information, those keywords and their philosophy, and demonstrate to them that you also share this view, which will make it much more likely that you get hired because they will feel like it's going to be good working with you just as a person, apart from your professional skills. The 3 learning points that I would highlight from my internships was that you need to adjust to the company culture. So you need to understand how the people around you function and how they're used to working. And not necessarily working the exact same way, but you have to at least take that into consideration and be flexible in that sense. The second thing is, when you don't know something, ask. You don't need to assume things. It's understandable that you're an intern and you don't know everything about the company and its processes, so there's no shame in asking, and it's much better than doing something wrong and having to do it all over again. Third thing, very practical advice, write everything down. I was always walking around with a notebook, with a pen, and whenever I would have a conversation with someone, I would write down every potentially important detail of the conversation. And I couldn't tell you how many times that saved me a lot of effort in searching for things, asking people, doing new meetings, so on and so forth. So write it down. If I had to describe my internship in 3 words, I would say endless learning opportunities. That's the first thing I would say to someone who is just joining BSL is always remember that you're there for you. You're not there for someone else. And I know a lot of people are going to tell you this along the way, especially when you don't hand in your homework. But that's the truth. So you're there to learn. You're not just there to get the grades, because the day you step out of that school, you're going to need to have these skills. So put the time in that it takes. It's nothing crazy, and make sure that you come out of there with some real skills and abilities. The other thing I would say is that there's time to study and then there's time to party. Take both, enjoy your journey. You have a fun years ahead of you, so make sure you make the best of it. I actually ended up doing 2 internships at Earthworm Foundation, so I did a total of 10 months, and I have been offered a full-time contract to continue in the team at that position. So for the near future, I will be a part of the communications team at Earthworm Foundation.